I was finishing drywall work at the Buchanan remodel when my phone buzzed. A client tag, then another. I wiped plaster dust off the screen and froze. It was Nyla, my sister, standing under a floral arch in a white gown, holding hands with a man I barely remembered from one family dinner a year ago. The caption read, "Can't wait to marry my best friend." And the comments were full of hearts and countdown emojis. I checked the date. 2 weeks. 2 weeks until her wedding. My wedding invite. Non-existent. My name. Not tagged. My presence. Erased. I stared at that perfect picture like it was a joke the universe played late. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. When I called my mother, she picked up on the second ring. "Mom, did Nyla forget to mail something to me?" I said. A pause. Always the pause. The kind that means she's already built a defense. "Oh honey, Nyla didn't want to stress you. You're always so busy with work. We thought it might be easier for you not to worry about travel." Travel? "Mom, she's getting married 15 minutes away." I said. "It's not about distance, sweetie. It's just, she's very sensitive. And Travis wanted a small, positive atmosphere." Meaning I'm negative. I shot back. She sighed dramatically. "You can be intimidating. You have your career, your independence." Nyla's always felt overshadowed. By what? Me having a job and paying my bills. I asked. "Don't twist things, Deborah. We just don't want conflict." I laughed bitterly. "You mean you don't want honesty?" "Please, honey. Let your sister have her day," she said. "Fine, Mom. She can have her day? She can have the whole damn year." I hung up before she could guilt me into another round. That night, I sat on my couch and stared at my phone until my thumb started to ache. The more I scrolled through their feeds, engagement party, dress fittings, cake tastings, the more invisible I felt. Not angry, just erased. For as long as I could remember, I'd been the responsible one. The "you'll understand someday" child. The one who lent Nyla money for her cafe dream. The one who bailed Mom out of late payments. The one who fixed everything and then was told I was too much. So I did something new. I opened Instagram, unfollowed every single family member, and went to bed. No message, no explanation. Just a clean break. A few days later, Mom called again. "Sweetheart, you haven't been around lately. Your father misses you." I said, "Really?" Because I thought the family already had enough company preparing for the wedding. She exhaled like I was being unreasonable. "Oh, Deborah, don't be petty. You know how Nyla gets anxious. Travis just wants her calm." "So, you're telling me her fiancé banned me from the wedding and you agreed?" "No one banned you," she said quickly. "We just didn't want drama. You have such strong opinions." Translation: Travis doesn't like women who call out his crap. "Deborah, language," she scolded. "You're always so defensive." I laughed. "I learned from the best." She sighed. "You'll regret this distance someday." "Maybe, but not today," I said and hung up. A week before the wedding, I dropped by my parents' house to return Dad's drill. The air felt thick the moment I stepped inside, like guilt and potpourri mixed together. Mom was baking cookies, the pretend normal kind of gesture. Dad looked surprised. "Didn't expect to see you, kiddo," he said. "I figured I should return your tools before the next major event I'm not invited to." He flinched. "You know how your mother and Nyla get." "No, Dad. Enlighten me." "Travis thinks you don't care about family, that you're too career-focused." I smirked. "He's right. I care about my peace." Mom chimed in. "It's not personal, honey. You helped with her cafe, and that's what sisters do. You've already given so much." "Yeah, apparently enough to be cut out completely," I said. They exchanged a look, the kind that said, "Don't argue. She'll win." I dropped the drill on the counter, said, "Good luck this weekend," and walked out before they could lecture me about forgiveness. That Friday, I got a voicemail from Mom. "Hi, honey. Just wanted to say we love you, even if things are a little tense right now. Everyone's having such a beautiful day. Nyla sends her love. We didn't want to make you uncomfortable, so it's okay that you're not here. Hope you're relaxing and doing something fun this weekend." Her voice was syrupy, carefully rehearsed, like she was narrating a Hallmark card for the neighbor's benefit. I deleted it before it finished. On the wedding day, I slept in. I made pancakes. I cleaned my work truck. I didn't think about them once. Around 6 p.m., my phone started vibrating nonstop. Missed calls, messages, notifications from local news outlets. I ignored them at first, figured it was some family emergency that would eventually fix itself, as always. Then I saw the headline. "Violence erupts at Maplewood Country Club wedding." My blood ran cold. The thumbnail was Nyla, still in her dress, crying. I clicked the video. The footage was grainy, chaotic, filmed by someone's phone. Guests screaming, glasses breaking, and right in the middle, Travis, red-faced, yelling, "You humiliated me," and Nyla shouting back, "You cheated on me," before he slapped her across the face. The room gasped in unison. Someone shouted, "Call the police." The clip ended there. My phone rang again. Mom. Then again. I finally answered. "Deborah, it's horrible. He hit her. Everyone saw. Please come to the club." I closed my eyes. I wasn't invited, Mom. Showing up now would only make it worse. She was sobbing. "She needs you. She needed me months ago when you all pretended I didn't exist." I said quietly, "I'm sorry, Mom. This isn't mine to fix," and hung up. For a long time, I just sat there, phone buzzing in my hand. I wasn't numb. I wasn't angry. I was free. For once in my life, a family disaster didn't have my fingerprints on it. I didn't have to clean, save, or rescue anyone. I didn't have to play the good daughter. I just let the silence stay. Because for the first time, the chaos didn't belong to me. It had been 3 days since the wedding when the story hit every local news channel, and I couldn't scroll for 2 minutes without seeing my sister's face frozen mid-cry. The video kept looping on gossip sites, the captions switching between "tragic wedding scene" and "groom snaps at bride," as if it were entertainment, not humiliation. My phone buzzed constantly with relatives I hadn't heard from in years. "Have you seen it? Is she okay? How could he?" I ignored them all. Mom left voicemail after voicemail, her voice swinging from sobs to guilt trips. "Deborah, we need you. Your sister's heartbroken. Reporters keep calling. You know how to talk to people. Please fix this." That phrase, "please fix this," hit like a reflex test I refused to respond to. For once, I didn't pick up a single call. By day 4, Travis had given an interview to a local blogger, claiming there was a misunderstanding and that emotions were high. He even said, "She attacked me first." The audacity made my teeth hurt. Nyla had vanished from social media, and word around town was she'd moved back in with our parents. Of course she had. Their house was the family rehab center. Break a life. Check in with Mom's casseroles and denial. I held out for almost 2 weeks before driving there, partly to drop off a set of paperwork for Dad's old truck, partly to see if any of them could look me in the eye. The minute I stepped through the door, the smell of disinfectant and burnt coffee hit me. Mom was at the sink, scrubbing a mug that didn't need scrubbing. "Deborah, you came," she said, relief spilling out too fast. I shrugged. "Yeah, figured I'd see the circus in person." Dad peeked from the living room, muttering, "She's upstairs resting. Reporters have been outside every day." "Yeah, that tends to happen when your husband punches you in a ballroom," I said. Mom flinched. "Please don't say it like that. She's fragile. She's 33, not porcelain." I said, "Where is she?" "Sleeping." Mom said, "She barely eats. She blames herself." I leaned against the counter. "Of course she does. She's been trained to." Mom froze mid-scrub. "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means you taught her to make excuses for men so she wouldn't end up like me. Independent and inconvenient." She slammed the mug down. "That's not fair, Deborah." "Neither was the guest list." I said. Dad mumbled, "Enough, both of you," but no one listened. Nyla came down the stairs a few minutes later, pale, wearing one of Dad's old sweatshirts. For a second, I didn't recognize her. Her voice was small. "I didn't know he'd do that, Deb." "I know you didn't," I said quietly. She looked at me, eyes wet. "Everyone keeps asking why you weren't there." "Because they didn't want me there." I said. "Because I would have told you to run before you said I do." She laughed once, bitterly. "You were right. I didn't want to be," I said. She wiped her face and whispered, "He's gone. The police took him after the video." Mom jumped in. "He's posting lies online. He says she provoked him. It's ruining her reputation." I stared at her. "Mom, her reputation isn't the problem. Her trauma is. Maybe focus on the right thing for once." Mom looked ready to cry. "I just want the family to heal. Then stop pretending nothing happened." I snapped. The room went quiet except for the hum of the fridge. After a while, Nyla said softly, "I wish you'd come that day." I met her eyes. "No, you don't. If I had been there, I would have dragged you out before the vows, and you would have hated me for it. You needed to see it yourself." She nodded slowly, tears sliding down. "It's over now." "Good," I said. "Then make it mean something." On my way out, Mom followed me to the porch. "Deborah, wait," she called. "I'm sorry we shut you out. We thought we were protecting her." I turned. "From what reality?" She shook her head, desperate. "You've always been so strong. I thought you didn't need us." I laughed under my breath. "You were right, Mom. I didn't." She reached for my arm. "Don't walk away angry." I'm not angry. I said, I'm just done being everyone's safety net. Her eyes filled with tears. We need you, Deborah. I shook my head. No, you need to start needing yourselves. Then I walked to my truck. That night, I poured a drink and scrolled through my phone. The video had racked up over 6 million views. Strangers were dissecting my sister's life like it was a TV show. Some defended her, some mocked her, some debated the psychology of women who ignore red flags. I closed the app. For years, I'd been the quiet witness in a family that mistook silence for loyalty. But silence can also be a statement. A week later, Mom texted me again. Your father and I are worried about bills. The cafe debt, the house payments, we might lose the property. Please call. I didn't reply. Not yet. I looked at the message, sighed, and said out loud, here we go again. Because even after a public scandal, the family cycle was already gearing up for its next act. And though I didn't know it then, that text was the first crack in the next storm. The one that would make every secret they'd kept finally come crashing down. It started with a text from my mother saying they might lose the house. I almost ignored it, assuming it was another crisis designed to pull me back into the family orbit. But when my father showed up at my door a few days later, his hat twisting in his hands, I knew something had gone truly wrong. He looked thinner, older, the way people do when lies start to rot from the inside. He said they were behind on payments. That confused me, because I had been sending $1,100 every month for the last 4 years to cover what I thought was their mortgage. I asked him what happened, and he just looked at the ground. That silence told me everything I needed to know. The next call to my mother confirmed it. She tried to sound reasonable, as if explaining a small accounting mistake, but her words unraveled fast. They had taken out a home equity line of credit years ago, a HELOC, supposedly to help Nyla with her debts after the cafe collapse. It wasn't my loan, yet my name was on the paperwork. Apparently, my helpful monthly transfers had been paying down that debt all along. When I asked how that was possible, my mother finally admitted the unthinkable. Nyla had signed my name because it just made sense since you were paying anyway. I hung up before she could start crying. For hours I sat at my desk going through old emails and bank statements. Every wire, every confirmation, every thanks honey message from Mom lined up perfectly with the HELOC payment schedule. I realized that the house I thought I was helping them keep had already been safe. The money had been feeding a lie built on my reliability. I wasn't the responsible one. I was the funding source for their denial. That knowledge didn't even make me angry at first. It made me tired in a way I hadn't felt before, like the weight of every family favor I'd ever done suddenly collapsed on top of me. When I confronted them in person later that week, the scene felt rehearsed. Nyla cried. My mother apologized in circles. My father stared at the floor. They spoke about intentions, about family, about desperation, as if good motives could turn theft into sacrifice. I didn't shout. I just told them I knew exactly what they had done and that I was finished pretending the line between love and manipulation was too blurry to see. Nyla said she hadn't known. Maybe she hadn't. Maybe she just never asked where the money came from because it was easier not to. I spent the next morning at a lawyer's office. The numbers were worse than I expected, almost $200,000 taken under my name. The lawyer was calm, clinical, impressed I wasn't planning to press charges. I told him I didn't need punishment. I needed an end. He suggested a civil settlement. They would sell a small piece of property behind the main house and transfer the proceeds to me to close the account. I agreed. No court, no headlines, no more pretending we were a family that could be fixed. Just math, signatures, and distance. When the paperwork was done, I drove back to the old house one last time. The air felt stale, heavy with everything unspoken. My mother tried to justify herself again, but her voice cracked halfway through. My father muttered something about shame and age. Nyla sat on the stairs, eyes red, saying she would make it right someday. I didn't respond. There was nothing left to say that hadn't already been said over decades of half-truths. I left the documents on the table and told them to sign. That evening I watched the sunset from my porch, the same way I had the night of the wedding, when everything first cracked. I realized that peace doesn't arrive like forgiveness. It comes like silence after a storm. I thought about the girl I used to be, the fixer, the responsible one, the invisible backbone, and how she would have stayed, argued, cried, and eventually paid again. But that version of me didn't exist anymore. I had become someone who could look at chaos and simply walk away. A week later, the check arrived from the sale of the side lot. It was less than what they owed, but it felt like enough. I deposited it, not out of greed, but ceremony. The final transaction of a life spent settling other people's debts. My mother texted that night asking if someday I could forgive them. I stared at the message for a long time before replying. You already got what you needed. I got what I deserved, freedom. Then I turned off my phone. For the first time in my life, there were no calls, no crises, no guilt waiting at the edge of sleep. Just quiet. And it was everything I had ever wanted. What do you think about this story? Let me know in the comments. Drop a like, and don't forget to subscribe for more real-life stories.